Welcome back to The Truth with Trinity, and I am your host, Trinity. And if this is your first time tuning into the podcast, I'd like to send you a warm welcome. Here I talk about issues that happen within the Black community, hopefully for some resolution or at least some food for thought to go about your daily way. So, without further ado, I'd like to jump into this episode's topic, which is the betrayal in the Black sisterhood. So, as we fight for justice, okay, as we fight for justice in a society that has been and has delivered to us injustice, um, and as we rightfully so fight, what we also must realize is that we live in a world, in a society that profits from our betrayal amongst one another, especially as Black women. And some of the ways that we do this, that we betray each other, is by telling our sister's business. So, this especially happens if, a relationship between girlfriends end. Sometimes when you temporarily get mad at your sister friend or your friend, and you tell her business, okay? Competing against our own sisters. This can happen in the workplace, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Tearing down our sister's appearance. And as you and I know, as Black women, depression, sometimes financial situations, we can't always put on that latest wig, or, we can't always, put on that, shiny pair of shoes. And we need to take that into consideration when we address our sisters, and we need to help lift them up and help them, hopefully, if you have the means, to a situation where they can up their appearance. And also, when we fight each other, so this can be verbally, a verbal altercation, or this can be a physical altercation. When we're out there fighting in the streets, when we're out there fighting in stores, or wherever we're at, and we're having a physical altercation, instead of being able to talk out our differences, instead of going blow to blow or with weapons. We need to come to a point that we want to preserve our own sisters and our own people. And, especially when we're fighting around men. Okay. When we fight around men, it devalues us in their sight. So they go from looking at us like, as females and ladies, to some Budweiser beer commercial in a arena, a fight arena. So, they're not looking at us as ladies. They might enjoy the fight, us ripping our hair out, ripping our clothes off, but it diminishes our values in a man's sight. And what is one of the main ways and reasons why women tend to fight? Not only is it misunderstanding, but my last point is sleeping with our sister's man. Okay, sleeping with another woman's man. Now, we live in a culture that says it's okay. Our songs, our movies, and some were taught by elderly women that it's okay to sleep with a another woman's man. And some women's thoughts are, it happened to me, so why should I care? Okay, so my husband, or my, fiance, he slipped out and slept with another woman, and another woman didn't care about my situation. So why should I care about, sleeping with someone else's, husband? And some women may have the mindset, a man will cheat anyway, so it might as well be with me. Or, I'd rather be the woman he cheats with instead of the woman he cheats on. And yes, sometimes it may be hidden that a particular man is married or committed. So sometimes they don't always disclose this, or they don't always tell the truth. And that's why it's important to practice sexual impulse control. So even though, as a grown woman, we have our needs, our hormones, but we must learn discipline to be able to mentally figure who the man you are potentially dealing with is. So when you abstain from sex to be able to get to know the guy, a lot of this information can come out, you know. Or as soon as you find out that he is taken or married, have enough strength within because this man doesn't belong to you. Okay? And some women may say they don't want commitment from a taken man. But in many instances, after time has passed, so this is, after a certain amount of time that you're engaging in sexual conduct, weeks, months, however much time has elapsed, women try to purposefully get pregnant. So the same women a lot of times that claim, "Oh, I don't want a commitment. I don't want a man. I don't want her man. I just want him, for sex or gifts." They a lot of times end up trying to purposely get pregnant. And a lot of times, subconsciously, this is the case because, they begin to see over amount of time, even though initially you agreed that you only wanted sex, he already told you he only wanted sex or comfort. And, and subconsciously, as a woman, the bells go off in your mind. Hey, I want something that you're serious about with me. And a lot of times, wives tend to have families with their husband or a committed man. And so you're like, well, I want to compete. I want something that he's going to be serious about. And a lot of times that just doesn't happen. Or they try to contact the wife. Okay, they try to contact the wife. So a lot of these women that, say that they don't want a married man end up trying to contact the wife or post on social media or do something indirectly that will get the wife's attention. And why is this the case? It's not in a woman's true nature to continuously have sex and no commitment giving back. Okay, I'm going to repeat that again. It's not in a woman's true nature. Okay, so despite how you may, want to play it off, it's not in our nature to continuously have sex and no commitment back. Okay? And lastly, some women may feel that they are more beautiful than the wife and find pleasure in snagging someone else's man. Okay? But true beauty comes from being able to successfully getting a single man to want to change his status to fully commit to you. So, you know, being very beautiful is one thing, but having a brother say, "Hey, I don't want to be single anymore." So this is a man that's already single, okay? And he says, "I don't want to be single no more. You so fine. I want to change my status and give you my last name." So that's really where it's at. Okay? Also, we as sisters need to start thinking about the wife. So even if we don't know her or know anyone that knows her, we need to start thinking about her emotions. And in our culture as black people, especially, since slavery, we got a every man for himself mentality, every woman for themselves mentality. And when it boils down to it, that everyone, cares about themselves. But us as black people though, we have to start caring about how our actions affect other people in our community. Okay? Imagine if you were the wife. Okay? Imagine if you went to your husband's or significant other's cell phone and your name is the one in his text messaging having explicit conversations with, and how that would make you feel. We need to show empathy. And empathy is the ability to walk in someone else's shoes, and this fight that we're in for justice, we're asking for other races of people to have compassion for us, and that our lives matter, but we must matter to ourselves. We must be able to, along with asking for justice, we must show each other that we have compassion for ourselves. Think about the part you play that helps ruin children's futures. Okay? So think about how you're ruining other children's futures, because you know how it goes. The wife or significant other, they find out that their husband is cheating, okay? And they may have had other problems, okay? They may have had financial difficulties or other things that they were, arguing about, but you know how it goes. His clothes get set out on the corner. He goes to live somewhere else. He continues to engage in his actions, may sleep with other women, because he's out there. He's feeling, bad for the situation. And the children, okay, we as Black women, even though they're not our children, okay, we need to start thinking about the Black children as a community, as a village. How is that going to affect them with their father being kicked out the house? Because I had my part to play. And some women will say, oh, you can't blame it all on the woman, which is true. It takes two to tangle, but don't be the one he's tangling with. Okay, think about the children's futures of seeing their fathers being put out the home, and how that's destroying more of our people with our sons and our daughters growing up fatherless, and the anger that it causes in our Black sons, when the father's not in the house, and the trauma that it causes the wife. Okay, we need to start thinking about these things, thinking about our sister. Okay, and even if the marital couple, like I said, is having problems, there needs to be less women that a man can run to outside of his marriage. So it won't be so easy for them to run outside their marriage sexually if more of us as Black women will put our foot down and have some self-respect about ourselves to say, hey, you can't run here. You can't lay up here. Okay? We already have a problem with men finding it difficult to find value in us other than sex. Let us not increase the issue. When a taken man expresses sexual desire in you, encourage him to make it work with his wife. Okay, I'm going to repeat that again. When a taken or married man expresses sexual desire in you, encourage that man to make it work with his wife. So, this is not a time to create a Jezebel spirit and to start talking to the man about and engaging him in faults that his wife has. Okay, this is not a time to sum up and gather how you can be better than his wife. This is not a time for you to tell him, oh, what your wife isn't doing, I can do. Whispering these sweet nothings in his ear. This is not a time for that. Okay, this is a time for us to use our influence as women in a righteous and positive way to tell a man to go back to his wife, okay, to make it work with his wife, okay? It's not a time to try and hear, like I said, negative things about his spouse. And let us learn to use our influence in a positive way to help our men, our children, and our communities, to show each other love as if these families were our own. Like I said, you might not be related, but as Black people, it's time for us to understand we're all in this together. And with our actions, it affects other Black people. Okay? Like we need to start looking at each other like a village. Okay? And I wanted to lastly say that to Black women, you are beautiful. And we've been through a lot, but we have always persevered. We as a whole have our work cut out for us, but we are resilient. Let us live up to the image of what a true Black queen is by our daily actions toward one another. And I wanted to say that I love you all. And it's been a pleasure talking with you all. And if you would like to get in contact with me, you can at thetruthwithtrinity.com. You can also listen to my podcast on Spotify, Anchor, and YouTube. And always remember, if you can't tell the truth with anyone else, you can with Trinity. Till next time, take care.